Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews, connections in mind, and welcome back to my reaction series to each and every episode of Season 2 of The Orville. Now, if you're just joining this series midstream, this is my short-form reaction series where I give my thoughts on each episode as soon as they come out, as well as some analysis on certain plot developments and character arcs that seem familiar and where you may have seen them before. Now, with all this said, and without further ado, let's get into The Orville Season 2, Episode 13, entitled Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. This episode focuses on a freak time experiment that produces the result of bringing a version of Commander Kelly Grayson from 7 years in her past back into the present, and in a time when Ed Mercer's still has feelings for Kelly, but she feels she can't reciprocate those feelings because it will compromise his integrity as a commanding officer and a whole bunch of other reasons. Ed sees this as potentially a way for him to fix the past wrongs of his relationship with Kelly and start anew. But of course, this causes some severe tension between past Kelly and present Kelly. And all this being said, there's also the chance that past Kelly can never go back, at least at first. And this whole conflict spreads around the idea that whether your past self is rejecting your future self, or if your past idealism is just misguided, and if we really can fix the mistakes of our present lives, if we can really can go back with the knowledge that we have now and replay these events in a certain way so that we can get the desired outcome. So that's the main tension of this episode, and I just loved the character drama between Ed, present Kelly, and past Kelly, and how they explore this concept of reliving the past or trying to fix the past mistakes, but being unable to because you haven't realized how much you've changed until you're faced with your past self at that point, and having to take a good hard look at your past and where you thought you might be in 7 years, and thinking if you really have failed, or if your priorities have just changed and you're actually succeeding in a different way. I just thought this was a great episode as far as the character drama goes, and I think this just shows the power that a sci-fi setting can do to bring about human drama, where the sci-fi-ness of this episode is really just a plot device in order to present this conflict, just like what good sci-fi should be, where it's just the technology that makes this drama possible, and then it's the character interactions from that point on that drives the story. And I thought that was a great way to go about it, and especially the thought of the ending. The ending of this episode, my gosh, it was a intriguing ending where they figure out they can send her past Kelly back 7 years, but because they don't necessarily know if she's the past of their own timeline, or if it is a past from a parallel universe, who knows? But they decide to do the memory wipe in order so that she has no knowledge of the future. However, when she is faced with the past, and her past Kelly's at that contemporary Ed calling her, trying to set up a second date, and she rejects him, that leaves the definite possibility of either this is going to be a parallel universe, perhaps, and clearly the memory wipe wasn't completely effective, but that opens the possibility of maybe we'll see this new Kelly in the future. Maybe she'll come back in some form or another, and that's just an interesting possibility. And I just love how they set that up as a somewhat ambiguous ending as to how this works and the implications thereof. Like I said, I don't really have any complaints about this episode. If I was going to nitpick, maybe the bit with I did like the bit with the club. That was kind of funny, although, I mean, maybe it dragged on a little too long, and maybe it took, if I was going to nitpick something, maybe it took slightly longer and slightly too many things for the real tension between past Kelly and present Kelly to manifest in a meaningful way. That's just a nitpick. This is probably my favorite episode of this season, quite honestly. I thought this was a very good, I can't say very good enough. This is a great episode, and I can't wait to see what the season finale brings. Some analysis as to where you may have seen this before. Obviously, as I've said in the past, now the Orville is drawing on Star Trek as its sort of pseudo framework of how it works as like the setting of a ship and a crew going on adventures, but it's still kind of its own thing. I would say a good comparison to be made between Star Trek and this in the Orville would be the Next Generation episode Second Chances, where we get the conflict between Will Riker and his transporter duplicate, who's still madly in love with Deanna Troi, and when he is reintroduced having that cling to hope, and it's a duplicate, and Deanna sees it as perhaps an opportunity to revisit her relationship with Will from the past, that maybe things have changed, or reevaluate how their relationship may have gone at that point. So there's an obvious parallel there. Also, an interesting parallel to be drawn would be an episode of Stargate Atlantis, McKay and Mrs. Miller, where a duplicate of Rodney McKay is brought into their reality from a parallel universe, and it is unclear whether he can be sent back at first. And as this new Rodney interacts with the Atlantis team members, there's tension there when people seem to like the new Rod better than the old, the contemporary Rodney, and however, but when they finally do manage to bring him back, they have to redline their power source in order to send him back, much as they did with sending past Kelly back into the past. So those are just the main points of comparison to be made for this episode, as far as I can tell. But what did you think of this episode as a whole? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Brief as though it was, do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I miss anything? I may have missed something. I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to look for my reaction to next week's episode of The Orville, which I believe is the finale of this season, as well as my reaction to each episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. It's a little late, so I haven't gotten to react to the season finale of Star Trek Discovery yet, but be sure to look for that in the next day or so. And also be sure to look for my movie reviews on my channel. My most recent review is for the live action or the reboot of Hellboy, and which is out on my channel now. And also be sure to look for my review of Avengers Endgame next week. So all that's on my channel, or going to be on my channel. If you like what you see in any of these videos or this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching again, but just remember, there is nothing new under the sun, and yes, you have seen it before.